Welcome to Unbiased and On the Fence. I've got 13 Mandela effects for you. Not as popular, but I like to hit the ones that maybe you haven't heard of. Maybe you'll find one that's mind-blowing. All it takes is one. And if you do find this is mind-blowing, you're just waking up to this. It is around the equinox, which is the time of the year that more people seem to notice it for some reason. You can pick up Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe. The link is in the description below. And if you want to look a little bit further into it, I've got my talk on the IMEC YouTube channel, and you can check out the conference from 2019 and 2020 talks there, many other speakers, but I go into the messages I've received in the Mandela Effect. But you can go over to the IMEC on YouTube channel, and that link is below, and you can check out all sorts of resources. So, for the first one, I want to show one that I feel shows some intelligence within a change. So, now, you might only know one of these actors, or you might know both of them, but one of the answers are correct. So, the actors that played Superman. Was it George Reeve and Christopher Reeves? Or was it George Reeves and Christopher Reeve? Okay, I'll let you pause it if you need some more time. But indeed, it was George Reeves and Christopher Reeve. Now, this is a strange one, because for people who were familiar with both actors, typically the way we remember it was, well, I remember one had an S and one didn't. And I didn't realize this until I spoke to someone else, because I wasn't familiar with George Reeves. I only knew about Christopher Reeves, and I knew that he lost an S on the end of his name. I had a bunch of memory notes with that. So when I found out that their names were opposite, I realized that his name had also switched. Which leads me to the next one here. And this is actually one that I found by thinking it through. I thought about Barbra. And so how do you remember these ladies' names being spelled? Do you remember it being Barbara Walters and Barbra Streisand? Or do you remember it being Barbara Walters and Barbara Streisand? Which spelling do you remember? And if you need more time, you can pause it. Correct answer is Barbara Walters and Barbra Streisand. So for me, these two swapped. I don't know if it swapped for anyone else, but I didn't really know any Barbara. So for me, you know, I don't know. I don't know why I remembered it, but I did. All right, so which one is right? Is it Costco or Cosco? What do you remember? If you need more time, you can pause it. Let's go to the next. It is Costco. Now, of course, all of these, you can look them up, and if they don't match this video, they could have flip-flopped, because that does happen, believe it or not. All right. So, how do you spell Kevin's last name? How do you spell Kevin Costner? And if you need more time, you can pause it. It is Kevin Costner. Costner with a T. Is that how you remember it? Okay, how do you spell Jim's last name? Jim Carey. How do you remember? This one gets me every time because I see it and it just looks like a typo. And I didn't see it actually change, but I witnessed the time it changed. So if you need more time, you can pause it. It is now spelled with 2 R's, Jim Carey. Is this how you always remember it? Here we have Jimi Hendrix. How do you guys remember Jimi Hendrix's name being spelled? And if you need more time, you can pause it. It's now spelled like this. Is this how you always remember it? Pretty exciting stuff. All right, so in Scary Movie, this line was spoken. Either I see dead people or I see white people. And if you need more time, you can pause. We're going to move on. He says, I see dead people. I see white people was never said in the movie, supposedly. even though so many people remember it, so many memes. Okay, how do you remember, anybody who's been to the doctor, especially if you have kids, you've got to fill out these HIPAA forms, right? Well, how do you remember HIPAA being abbreviated? And if you need more time, you can pause it. It is now HIPAA. Is that how you remember it? I was recently on a website and they had it both ways. It's like part of it was done from memory, and that gets into how I believe consciousness plays a big part in whether there's a residue that survives. All right, which is correct? How do you spell Dr. Seuss? And you can pause it if you need to. It is S-E-U-S-S, Dr. Seuss. Is that how you always remember? It's been in the news a lot lately, so good one to bring up right now. Okay, what does DEA stand for? This was a huge one for me. If you need more time, pause it. DEA stands for Drug Enforcement Administration, not Drug Enforcement Agency. That's an interesting one. Okay, this place here, what is Grand Central? Is it Grand Central Station? Grand Central Terminal? What do you remember? And you can pause it if you need more time. It's Grand Central Terminal. You know, and it's like, you know, if you talk to people in New York, it's always been Grand Central Terminal. It's like the closer you are to a change, the less you are likely to see it anyway. Someone who would notice this and remember it being etched into the granite or rock as Grand Central Station, someone who probably frequented this in the 80s, and then they stopped going, 80s, 90s, and then they stopped going, and they haven't been back since. They would probably be the person to ask, but I don't know, something weird about it. All right, so here's one that is near and dear to my heart. Do you remember this candy as Now or Later or Now and Later? And you can pause it if you need more time. It is Now and Later. It's always been Now and Later, supposedly, although I remember as a kid, it was just one big word, Now or Later. Okay. And this one, okay, so, you know, throughout the 80s and 90s, Pizza Hut had a logo. Which one is more similar to how you remember the Pizza Hut logo? And I will give you more time, or you can pause it if you need more time. The answer on this one is this logo on the left. Now, this is one that I don't remember how I came across it, but I'm like, what? This didn't have the break in there. The I and the Z for me wasn't connected like this, and it didn't swoop down underneath here. It was just more regular looking letters. Now, this might not be exactly how it was on the right, but it definitely, it was more regular looking letters. It didn't have this swooping line that goes out on the H, sort of like the U-Haul now has this connected dash. So yeah, this was when I looked at this and I saw the break in there. I've been seeing more of these breaks, openings, and more of the merging. And then, of course, the U-Haul dash. So I do think, there's messages in all of these things, and it's fun to try to decipher them, see what you can come up with. And I think it's an individual thing. So, well, lots of love, light, and unity. We'll see you all on the next one. Peace.
Thank you.